The biggest lie you've ever been told is that success is a matter of luck. That some people were just born with an advantage. At the right connections, the right timing, or the right background are what decide who wins and who loses in life. That one day, if the economy improves, if your boss finally notices you, if someone gives you permission, your life will change. That is a lie. Success is not random. Success is not mysterious. And success is not reserved for a select few. Success is a mathematical certainty, if you follow the right blueprint. But most people never do, not because they can't, but because they won't. Because most people spend their entire lives sitting in what I call the waiting room of life. They're waiting for confidence, waiting for clarity, waiting for motivation, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for someone else to go first. And while they wait, the winners are building. Quietly, relentlessly, without permission, without applause. They're not smarter. They're not luckier. They're not special. They just made a decision most people are terrified to make. They decided to stop waiting. And today, I want to show you how to burn that waiting room to the ground and step into the life you were actually meant to live. Jim Rohn once said, "To have more than you've got, you must become more than you are." That sentence alone explains why most people never get what they want. Because most people want the harvest without planting the seeds. They want the rewards without the responsibility. They want the lifestyle without becoming the kind of person who can sustain it. They want more money, but they don't want more discipline. They want more freedom, but they don't want more accountability. They want more options, but they refuse to raise their standards. And here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Wealth is not something you chase on the outside. Wealth is something you build on the inside. If you gave $1 million to someone with $1,000 mindset, they would lose it. Not because they're stupid, not because they're unlucky, but because their identity can't hold that level of responsibility. But take everything away from someone with $1 million mindset, and they'll have it all back. Not eventually, not someday, but inevitably. Because money doesn't follow effort. Money follows identity. And identity is programmable. Your brain is a supercomputer, but most people are running outdated software. Software installed by parents who were afraid, teachers who played it safe, friends who settled, a culture that rewards comfort and punishes ambition. You were told to be realistic. You were told not to take risks. You were told money was dangerous. You were told success changes people. What they really meant was success would change you in a way that made them uncomfortable. So they taught you to stay small. That is poverty programming. Not poverty of money, poverty of thinking. Because in the modern world, we don't have a shortage of opportunity. We have a shortage of perspective. The average person sees a wall. The wealthy person sees a ladder. The average person sees a problem and asks, "Why is this happening to me?" The wealthy person sees the same problem and asks, "How can I use this?" Same event, same reality, different operating system. That difference decides everything. Most people are infected with what I call the scarcity virus. Scarcity says there isn't enough. If you win, I lose. If someone else succeeds, that means there's less for me. Abundance says the opposite. Abundance says value is unlimited. Abundance says the marketplace rewards contribution. Abundance says if you want more, you become more. The world does not pay you for what you need. It does not pay you for what you want. It does not pay you for what you deserve. It pays you for the problems you solve. And problems are infinite. That means opportunity is infinite. The reason most people never see it
is because they're too busy protecting their comfort. You don't get what you want in life. You get what you tolerate. You get what you expect. You get what you are willing to demand of yourself. That's why affirmations don't work without action. That's why motivation fades. That's why inspiration dies the moment life gets uncomfortable. Because without a change in identity, success feels foreign. And when success feels foreign, you sabotage it. You procrastinate. You hesitate. You self-doubt. You wait. Not consciously, subconsciously. Because your nervous system is trying to return you to what feels familiar. That's why your income will never permanently exceed your level of personal development. Never. If your standards are low, your results will match. If your discipline is weak, your future will reflect it. Before you raise your income, you must raise your standards. Before you change your bank account, you must change your self-image. This is the internal revolution, and it always comes before the external one. Most people think they need more information. They don't. They need more execution. We live in the information age. Everything you want to learn is available. Business, sales, investing, health, communication, influence. The reason most people stay stuck isn't ignorance. It's hesitation. Analysis paralysis is the silent killer of dreams. People read. They watch. They plan. They prepare. And they never move. Because movement creates discomfort. And discomfort threatens identity. Here's a rule that separates winners from talkers. When you feel the impulse to act on a goal, you have 5 seconds. 5. After that, your brain will kill the idea. It will rationalize. It will delay. It will protect the familiar. Your brain's job is survival, not success. That's why winners don't wait for motivation. Motivation is a feeling. Feelings are unreliable. Winners rely on systems, on habits, on non-negotiable standards. They act first. They feel later. They don't negotiate with themselves. Every morning a battle begins. The alarm goes off. The average person starts negotiating. Just 10 more minutes. I'll start tomorrow. I deserve rest. The winner doesn't debate. The winner moves. Because discipline is not about willpower. It's about identity. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. If you can't control your morning, you won't control your money. If you can't manage your time, you won't manage opportunity. The first hour of your day decides the direction of your life. Not because mornings are magical, but because discipline compounds. Every disciplined action compounds. Every avoided excuse compounds. Every uncomfortable decision compounds. And most people quit before compounding ever has a chance to work. Because here's the part nobody warns you about. When you start changing internally, your environment will resist you. Friends will question you. Family will doubt you. People will say you've changed. They're right. That's the point. Growth feels like betrayal to people who chose comfort. When you raise your standards, you expose their excuses. When you change your habits, you challenge their identity. So they try to pull you back. Not because they hate you, but because your discipline threatens their self-image. This path is lonely. There is no applause for early mornings. No recognition for restraint. No reward for consistency. Until one day, there is. One day people call you lucky. They don't see the years of preparation. They don't see the mornings you didn't feel like it. They don't see the discipline that built the foundation. Let them believe it's luck. You'll know the truth. You were not stuck. You were trained. And anything that is trained can be retrained. The moment you stop waiting, the moment you stop negotiating, the moment you take full responsibility, everything changes. Not overnight, but permanently. This is the internal revolution. And once you win the war inside your mind, the outside world has no choice but to follow.
After you win the war inside your mind, you quickly discover something uncomfortable. Mindset alone doesn't pay the bills. Positive thinking doesn't move the marketplace. Belief without execution is just a comforting illusion. Once the internal revolution is complete, a second test begins. This one is external. This is the real world, the marketplace, money, people, competition, leverage. And the external world follows only one rule: value. Not effort, not intention, not how hard you try. Value. Listen carefully, because this idea alone separates those who struggle their entire lives from those who rise quickly. You do not get paid for your time. If the world paid for time, then everyone who worked 40 hours a week would earn the same income. They don't. You get paid for the value you bring to the marketplace. A surgeon doesn't earn thousands of dollars an hour because they're working harder than anyone else. They earn it because they invested years learning how to solve a rare, high-stakes problem under pressure. A janitor may work just as hard with just as much dignity, but the skill is easily replaceable. The marketplace is not cruel, it is precise. It rewards difficulty, scarcity, and impact. And this is where most people lose the game without even knowing they're playing it. They try to earn more by working longer hours instead of becoming more useful. They try to negotiate instead of upgrading. They ask for raises instead of raising their value. If you want to double your income, you don't need a new job. You need a new level of utility. Ask yourself a question that most people are afraid to ask. If you disappeared tomorrow, how difficult would it be to replace you? If the answer is very easy, then you are vulnerable, because replaceability is weakness. Job security does not come from loyalty. It does not come from seniority. It does not come from effort. It comes from being difficult to replace. This is what it means to become a linchpin. A linchpin is not the loudest person in the room, not the busiest, not the most stressed. A linchpin is the person who makes things work. They solve problems before they become visible. They connect systems. They create revenue, reduce loss, or increase leverage. When a linchpin leaves, things break, and that is power. But most people never become linchpins because they misunderstand work. They work hard on their job, but they don't work hard on themselves. They pour their energy into tasks that expire every day, while neglecting skills that compound for a lifetime. Your job will give you a paycheck. Your self-development will give you options. High-income skills are the foundation of external mastery. Sales teaches you persuasion. Communication teaches you influence. Leadership teaches you leverage through people. Public speaking teaches you authority. Technology teaches you scalability. These skills travel. They don't disappear when a company closes. They don't vanish when an industry shifts. They don't depend on a boss's opinion. People who master these skills are never unemployed. They may be between opportunities, but opportunity always finds them. Because value attracts attention. Attention attracts leverage, and leverage attracts money. But even value has limits if you stay in the wrong environment. This is the mistake that traps talented people for decades. They improve themselves, but never change their surroundings. You are not as independent as you think. You are shaped by proximity. by the conversations you hear every day, by the standards you observe, by the behaviors that are normalized around you. Spend enough time with people who complain, and complaining feels justified. Spend enough time with people who settle, and settling feels safe. Spend enough time with people who fear risk, and ambition starts to feel dangerous. This is not weakness, this is human nature. You absorb the mindset of your environment the same way your lungs absorb oxygen. That's why the law of proximity is so unforgiving. You don't rise to your potential, you sink to your surroundings. In the United States and in every high-performance culture, networking is not optional, it is leverage. But most people misunderstand networking. They approach it with desperation instead of contribution. They enter rooms asking, "What can I get? What opportunity can you give me? Who can help me?" That mindset repels power. High-level people are not looking for more dependence, they are looking for value. The fastest way to access powerful rooms is not credentials, it's usefulness. When you walk into a room with something to give, the dynamic shifts. You're no longer a seeker, you're a contributor. Maybe you bring information, maybe you bring connections, maybe you bring execution, reliability, or energy, but you bring something. Because access is not free, proximity is earned. Stop spending time with people who talk about why things can't be done. Stop listening to conversations about blame, politics, or excuses. Those conversations shrink you. Seek environments where people talk about building, about investing, about systems, about ownership. Not because those people are better than you, but because their thinking stretches you. Your network is not your contact list. Your network is the ceiling of what feels possible to you. But even skills and environment are not the highest level of mastery. The final level is contribution. This is where shallow thinking fails. Most people ask, "How do I make more money?" The wealthy ask a different question. How do I solve a bigger problem? Money is not the goal. Money is the scoreboard. It reflects the amount of value you've delivered. Every great business is a solution in disguise. Amazon solved convenience. Apple solved identity and design. Google solved information access. None of them started chasing money. They chased excellence. They chased usefulness. They chased service at scale, and money followed. When you focus on extracting value, people resist you. When you focus on creating value, people pull you forward. Contribution is not charity. Contribution is strategy. When you give value freely, you build trust. When you build trust, you build influence. When you build influence, doors open. Mentoring others sharpens your thinking. Teaching reinforces mastery. Sharing knowledge multiplies reach. The universe rewards those who lift others, not because of karma, but because value compounds through people. The person you help today may become the leverage you need tomorrow. This is how ecosystems are built. This is how long-term wealth is created, not by taking more, but by becoming more useful. External mastery is not about domination, it's about alignment. Aligning your skills with market demand, aligning your environment with your ambition, aligning your contribution with meaningful problems. When those align, success stops feeling forced, it becomes inevitable. Success is not hidden, it's not mysterious, it's not reserved for the lucky. It is a process of becoming someone the world has no choice but to reward. You don't chase success, you attract it by what you build, who you serve, and the standards you refuse to lower. Today is the day you stop being comfortable with average. Today is the day you stop asking for permission. Sharpen your skills, upgrade your circle, increase your contribution, and then step forward, because the marketplace is waiting, and it always rewards those who bring value.